Welcome back everyone, John Panio here with another video. Today we're going to be giving you guys an updated beginner's video. The game has been out for almost a month and quite a bit has changed, so I do want to update you guys on a few things. I'm going to be speedrunning on the basics of the game and going a little bit more in depth with certain things that are very important, but I'm not going to be going too into details, so we're going to jump right into it. This game works off of a stamina system down in the bottom now here. You have 3 boxes here. The game gives you a stamina refresh by either using the game's premium currency, and by using 26 you can get a full refresh. That means if you have 100 stamina as your max stamina, you'll get 100. If you have 122 as your max stamina, you get 120. That just means obviously the higher base stamina you have or max stamina you have, the better value it's going to be. Your first stamina refresh is going to be 26, your second one's going to be 52, etc, etc. Boxes are essentially this version's game of giving you free stamina. This box, when you use it, will give you 100 free stamina flat, and the game gives 10 in the beginning, but you can also get more stamina via events or also through your battle pass. There's a free and a paid battle pass, but you can get it in the free version as well. Then you have Enkaphilim modules. Enkaphilim is just this game's version of stamina. That works, or how this works is you can convert 20 stamina and it will give you an Enkaphilim module from 173 to 174, and these modules can be used in either your mirror dungeons, your EXP dungeons, or your thread dungeons. But not only that though, in your story mission, your regular missions require you to use stamina, but at the very end it will require you to be using Enkaphilim modules. Now the game centers around 12 characters, and these 12 cast of characters are how you're going to be playing the game. And how you make your characters stronger is either A, doing gacha pulls, B, leveling up, or C, uptying them. So what does that mean? In this game, your base 12 characters, they ascend naturally. By progressing through the story, they can go up to uptie 3, which is essentially tier 3. And what that means is once they reach tier 3, they gain access to their third skill, they gain access to passives. The other way to level them up is by using EXP tickets, and how you gain EXP tickets is by going into the mirror dungeon here. Or not mirror dungeon, the EXP dungeon right here. Now, how do you get more characters? You go into the temples. This game is really cool in the sense that your 12 base characters are as they are, but if you want to do new character pulls, you don't get quote unquote new characters, you get alternate versions of parallel universe characters. So what that means is costumes are the gacha in this game. So for example, this person right here, his name is Gregor. In your timeline, this character is a retired war veteran. And this version of Gregor is currently still fighting at war. And as a result, they have different skill sets. Obviously, currently right now the max level is 30, but the game might eventually release a higher cap, but that's a discussion for another time. But as you can see, up tie 3, I have access to my third skill, I have access to my passives, but if I was using this character, you can see here, I don't have access to my third skill and I don't have access to my support. So that's just how you can get your characters to become stronger. Now, resources. EXP, very self-explanatory, you can get that in the EXP dungeon. However, uptying your character a little bit different. Uptying requires you to get threads, and there's 3 ways to get threads. You can either get them by going into the thread excavation and doing these dungeons. These will give you threads. Another way is just via your battle pass. Your battle pass will be able to give you certain items that can drop you threads, like these crates right here. But the last way is by doing it via duplications from your temples. So what do I mean by that? So if I just pop into, let's just say for example, my standard banner, and I'll do like a quick one pull. I'll do a quick one pull, and what will happen is, if I get a character that I already have, what's going to happen is it's going to be a duplicate. And if I get a duplicate character, that character turns into shards. So I'll get 3 shards for this character here, Ryoshu. Now what happens is the shards that I get here can be saved up for something you could say is called a hard pity. The game allows you, if you have enough shards of a specific character, to convert those shards into a character of your choice by paying 400 for a 3-star variant or 150 for a 2-star variant. You can also gain access to egos, which is essentially this game's version of 5-star weapons, which is also very cool. 5-star weapons in this game work very differently. They act as special skills. They act as supers in this game, but they also give cool passes. So if you're wondering how you can get weapons or get characters, you can use the game's hard pity, which is having these shards and buying your guaranteed unit with the shards. Another thing that you can do, which I don't recommend at the moment, is you can turn your shards into threads, and in doing so you can use those threads to up-tie your characters. But currently right now there isn't really a good reason to do that, because you can gain your threads naturally just by doing the thread luxivation. So right now it's just best to not turn your shards into threads and just hold off for now, since there is a natural way of getting it. The next thing that I want to go into is the 10 pulls here. So the 10 pull, it has pretty decent probabilities. If you wanted the ego, there's a 1.3% chance of getting it, and if you wanted a 3-star unit, there's a 2.9%. So the percentage of getting something really good is 4.2%, and the game works like any gacha. After every 10 pull, you're guaranteed a 2-star or a 3-star, and it works the same as doing single pulls or 10 pulls. If I do a 10 pull, it's just faster. If I do a single pull, it's just the same. If I do 10 singles versus a 10 pull, the pity is interlude, it's intermatch. The one thing that I do want to make note of is, if you are someone who is going to spend money on the game, I would recommend spending it on your monthly packs, because you'll get 650 paid lunacy in the beginning, and then you get 65 every day, which is very nice. And also the game doesn't punish you, so if I don't log in for a day, your lunacy just stacks up here and you can claim it later, so you don't feel like you have to log in every single day to get your premium currency. Unlike some other games where if you don't log in, you don't get your premium currency that you paid for, this game gives it to you just in your mailbox. As you can see, it expires in 365 days, which is very, very nice. Now, the reason why, if you want to spend the game or some money on the game, I recommend you do it for the monthly pass is for one main reason. One main reason is this: each day in each of your banner, you can spend 13 lunacy, paid lunacy, so lunacy that you paid for, and you can get a very cheap discounted 10% off or 10% cost for a temple. So instead of it costing 130 premium paid currency, you would use 13 paid currency, and that's only if you use real money to buy it. If you're getting lunacy from compensation or from events, those don't count towards your paid lunacy. These discounted lunacy, 1 pull per day, is only available if you're using paid lunacy, but I do recommend it. It's pretty good value if you're planning on playing the game. The last thing in terms of paid that I do want to go into is the orientation pass. The orientation pass is essentially the battle pass, and how it works is by completing certain missions, you'll be able to progress your pass level, and once you progress your pass level, each tier, you'll be able to get a free reward or a Limbus pass reward. Now, the game is very generous. It doesn't milk you for what you're worth, and I will say the pass is worth it. After you're, say for example, finished your pass, every level after the maximum, you'll be gaining ego shard crates, which essentially are these things. You get a random bunch of it, but it's very useful. However, I will say free-to-play players, once you max out your pass, if you're only free-to-play, you only gain 1 box, but if you're pay-to-win, quote-unquote, and you have the paid Limbus pass, if you get all the way down here, you'll get 1 and 3 here for a total of 4. And how you grind the pass here is obviously you do your daily missions, you do your weekly missions, but the easiest way to grind pass level is just go into the mirror dungeon, because mirror dungeon, every time you finish a run, which takes about 30 to 40 minutes, you gain 7 nodes for your levels. So each 10 nodes gets you a level. 7 means you have to do 10 of it to guarantee yourself 7 levels, which is not that bad. Now, for those of you guys who are wondering, the next thing that I do want to briefly go over is just the battle system in this game. The battle system is a tricky one, and I will pop in here really briefly to go over how the battle system works. So currently right now, we're in an abnormality battle, and you can see here we have our skills which I can drag to the enemy, and how the battle system works is very simple but a lot of layers. There is speed. As you can see, my character has 6, 4, 3, 3, 3 speed. The enemy has 4, 4, 3, 3, 2. This just means my 6 speed character can interject himself and say, for example, this character is being attacked here by a 3 speed character. If I want to, I could throw this here, and now this 3 speed is no longer attacking this character. Now my 6 speed character can clash with this character. So essentially, speed allows you to jump into the queue of a character. Now, I'm just gonna line up my fight here, and as you can see on the top up hand side, there are certain numbers. So I'm gonna go over it really briefly. On the left hand side, you'll see that I have 6 to 16 and the enemy has 4 to 12. That means my power on my side is, if I'm unlucky, I can be as low as 6, and if I'm really lucky, I'll be as high as 16. The enemy, if they roll, they can be as low as 4 and as high as 12. And as you can see, there's a number that says 10 plus 6, or technically 6 plus 10. How it works is this character's skill has 1 coin flip. If it lands on heads, I get plus 10, totaling 16, which is where you get the 6 to 16 from. And on the right hand side, if the enemy flips their coin and they land heads, they get 4 plus 8 because they can flip 1 coin, and it will hit for 12. There are obviously other effects that happen in the game, which I'm not going to get into, but you can see that that's what that happens. If you're really lazy, you can click win rate and let the game play itself. I usually highly don't recommend it for this type of battle, because this type of battle is very hard and you're most likely going to get messed up. But as you can see right here, the game plays very simply put, almost like an auto battler, and the game will play itself out. So you have your strategy planning phase of the game, and then you have this phase of the game which plays itself out. Now, as you can see here, there are these lines on my character and on the enemy character. If my character takes enough damage in one turn that pushes them past these yellow lines, my characters will be stunned for a turn. But in lieu of, the enemy also has the same thing. So we're gonna do this right here. I will have this character fight neutral, favored. Well, as you can see, favored, better. As you can see right here, this character has a potential of 4 to 13 and the enemy has 4 to 11. As you can see right there on the top left hand side, you see 3 coins. That means my character can flip 3 coins, and each coin has the potential to land for 3, so it's 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 for each coin flip, and go all the way up to 13. How coin flips work is the higher sanity you have, which is located down at the bottom here, the higher sanity you have, the higher chance that your coins will land on heads. So that means if you have momentum on your side, you will be able to do better. And as you can see, that character staggered the enemy. What will happen is on the next turn, that part of the enemy, that body part of the enemy, won't be able to act. Not only that though, they'll also take extra damage to that body part. How this game also works is it's a rock, paper, scissors system. You have essentially pierce damage, slash damage, and blunt damage, and that works very similar to Fire Emblem, works very traditional to any weapon triangle you have. Essentially rock beats paper, paper beats, no, rock beats scissors, scissor beats paper, paper beats rock, and it works the very same way. As you can see here, the enemy is staggered, which means these body parts aren't going to do anything. This body part, as you can see on the top right hand side, they have certain weaknesses and strengths. Obviously, you want to be able to target those weaknesses and strengths, and as you fight these enemies more, the weaknesses will be revealed more over time. Now, as you can see on this side, my character also got staggered, so she's not going to be able to react. If I wanted to, I could hold on to this character's button and have them defend if I think my characters are going to get messed up. Defense is not working properly, but I'll have another video on defense eventually, but you have defense options. I can tell you right now, the defense option in this game really sucks. But as you can see, this character is going to get messed up by 3 speed attacks from these characters, but I have 6 and 5. So my 6 and 5 can interject themselves and make it so that most likely they will survive. But as you can see right now, it's not looking good since the enemy's gonna flip for 17 base and I'm gonna flip for 4. There's no way I'm winning this. So in this case, a little bit of strategy does help. I'm just going to ignore the enemy and just aim straight for their body and just let this character get annihilated. Because in this game, sometimes you're not gonna always be able to win. There isn't always going to be a time where you're going to win, and as you can see right here, if I win, which is the clash, if I win, the enemy loses their turn, but vice versa, if I use my turn to try to fight that 17 coin flip, I'm most likely going to lose that flip. So I just chose to ignore it and just hit the body part that aren't hitting me. Looking at the situation right now, most likely I'm going to win, but you also have one last thing that I want to cover in this fight, and that is affinities. As you can see, each of these colors here, or skills, have a color to it. I can technically activate passives on the side, and you'll see right here that if I have, say for example, 3 greens, if I had 3 greens, these passives activate. These passives activate when I'm fighting in the battle. If I have 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the conditions are needed, I gain access to cool nifty passives. And even bench characters, characters that aren't fighting on your team, if they have supports or passives that are available, they will activate. And right now, if I have 3 greens, I will get Eye for Weakness, Emergency Rations, and also Hustle. And these are all the passives if I wanted to use these 3. However, sometimes it's not always best to use the passive. Sometimes it's just better to have your characters go and use win rate, so that way you're guaranteed a win on the enemy. How it works is if you win, the enemies loses their skill. If the enemies beat your skill, you lose your skill. So it's a fine balancing of war. Bigger number wins, and obviously there are coin flips, and sometimes you might not get lucky and you lose, but sometimes you get lucky and you win. One thing to note is that you also have egos. Remember how I said you had egos in the game, which is essentially 5-star weapons? Right here is Ledgerment. And as you can see, Ledgerment is a skill that's AoE that targets 3 slots, so it hits 3 enemies technically. But how it works is this. Ledgerment, or not Ledgerment, but Ego in this game works as special skills, and once you use that special skill, you can then gain access to some pretty cool passives. Some are useful, some are not useful. But in order to use these egos, quote unquote, you have to gain enough affinities. And how affinities work in this game is each skill has a different color. Green represents gluttony, this orangey color represents lust, and it works off of the 7 deadly sins, technically. Wrath is red, red is wrath. And how it works is each ego or each special skill has a certain requirement. So as you can see, if I wanted to use this ego, it requires 2 sloth and 4 gluttony. So 2 yellows, 4 greens. But right now I only have 2 yellows but 3 greens. So if I wanted to use this ego, I would have to get enough of this specific color to then be able to use it. So this is just the basics of this game. I'm not going to go too much into detail about status effects, as I've done other videos on that. You can take a look at my other videos as I go into more in-depth detail about it. The game is changing quite a bit right now. We're going to be getting the introduction of Abyss Dungeon, essentially, in Genshin Impact, or basically your endgame tower content, where each month you'll be getting a new tower, and it's your hard endgame content. As we will quickly finish off this fight, And from the looks of it, we should be winning this pretty easily, but I do want to show you guys one more ego here. This one is going to be Ishmael's ego, which is a fun ego. And these egos you can get either, like I said, in the temples of the game. Oh, never mind, we beat it. Temples of the game, but also in the battle pass. So this game is very generous with giving you a lot of resources. It doesn't have a very predatory style of gaming. Since number one, you don't have reasons to need to get duplicates of a character, because anything that becomes a duplicate, you get it as ego shards, and these ego shards can be then converted into your hard pity and get your guaranteed character you want, or get your guaranteed ego that you want. It also has the battle pass, which once you complete your battle pass, you can see these go up, and you can get some pretty cool rewards. That ego that I was gonna use is a free ego. There are obviously paid egos which are in the paid battle pass, but the game I believe gives you 8 free egos and 5 paid egos. And honestly, egos, they aren't as overpowering as weapons say in other games. They're fun since they act like weapons, but they're more like special skills that gives cool passes. So overall, don't feel like you're missing out, and eventually these passes, the egos in it, will be, I'm sure, thrown into the main gacha pool. Overall, that's just the basics that I do want to quickly go over. The game is very nuanced. You have a lot of ways to play around your characters. Each character has different resistances to certain damage, like the rock, paper, scissors trigger that I was talking about. So yeah, this game has a lot of depth, a lot of layers. There is a level of RNG involved, but if I had to say, this game is 70 to 80% skill, 20 to 30% luck, and the skill mitigates it quite a bit. Team building, very important, works very similar to a deck builder. If you guys like deck building games, but in an RPG form, not RPG, but in a gacha format like this, it is very fun, very enjoyable, and I like the game very much. There's a lot of good lore, good story beats, as well as interesting gameplay mechanic that most other games don't do. It doesn't punish you for not playing the game, since they're going to be making updates and changes that really have a lot of quality of life changes to it. So yeah, overall, very fun game. Just a quick beginner video, since I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new players popping in with the March 23 update. Anyways, my name is John Panio. I stream on Twitch Monday to Friday, usually in the evening, but I try to keep my schedule consistent. I upload Monday to Friday as well as I have a Discord channel, so make sure you hop into that because we have a pretty big growing community there. And yeah, that's it. As usual, any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys later. John Panio signing out. Bye for now.